What's up, everybody? Got a little bit of a different thing going today. It's my first solo podcast, so thanks for tuning in. And I think we're going to cover some really interesting topics today and just going to clear my thoughts. So, to start out, I wanted to discuss the idea of getting hard things done, doing hard things, and embracing adversity and challenging yourself. And it's crazy to think that so much of America right now or just the world, is so reluctant to do hard things and to challenge themselves and to embrace suffering and chooses the easy way. And I was thinking about it over summer. There were reports of people dying from heat stroke because the heat wave was just so hot. It'd be 100 plus degrees in, I don't know, Arizona and stuff. And people were literally dying, having to go to the hospital. And so I was thinking, do you think that people in Africa would be dying because it's too hot there? I mean, it just goes to show how unhealthy and unfit Americans truly are if we're dying because it gets a little bit too hot, just because it's summertime. And it sucks because doing hard things is so rewarding, but it seems so counterintuitive. It's like you think that you want to have an easy life and you want to have all this privilege and to have everything paid for and to just, to be rich and not have to do anything. But then if you made it to the point where you don't have to do anything and you have everything you want, you have no purpose. There's no meaning in your life, and you end up getting depressed. You feel miserable because there's no challenge. And life is about overcoming challenges and growing as a person, growing as a result, becoming stronger, better, learning what you're capable of, learning who you are through the adversity. And when there's no challenge, you end up just becoming you have too much time to think. You think about everything, absolutely everything, and you run out of things to think of. Your life starts lacking diversity and variety. You start thinking that life is boring, and you think that there's nothing you could have that could make you feel better, because it's the wrong way of thinking. It's not about having this or that. It's about, life is not about having a certain feeling, or life is not about feeling a certain way. It's more about having a certain experience. And that's where the joy and fulfillment really comes from, is in having an experience that you're going to remember forever, something worth remembering. It's not about trying to feel a certain way. And so when I think back to the times that really make a difference in my life, when, the memories that really count, they're the ones that when I'm with my family. Typically holidays. Like, I really miss holidays. Like, when you're a kid, you think back to Christmas time and stuff, and you thought Christmas was great because you get the presents and all that. But when you grow up and you look back on it, it's like, what really matters is it's the whole essence of the holidays, where everybody comes together and everyone's just, it's great memories. There's love and there's people, and it's not about the gifts, It's about the memories and the experience. And so that's why you can reminisce on the experience and it'll still feel so great, because it's a memory. It's not a feeling, And so you can long for these types of, you can long for these things like family and love and connection, but you're mistaking this longing for some desire to feel a certain way, when it's actually a desire for an experience to have more to life than to just, have things. But to be involved in some sort of social dynamic environment. And that's where the fulfillment and the stimulation really comes from. Like, you could sit home and take an Adderall and just bust out a bunch of work, and sure, your brain's going to release dopamine and norepinephrine and whatever. You're going to be stimulated, but that chemical cocktail could match the same chemical cocktail you get from doing something real nice with your family. You still get the same neurotransmitters released, but one leaves you feeling empty, the other leaves you feeling fulfilled with a memory that you're going to remember forever. And so it really is about the experience. It's more than a feeling. It really is more than a feeling. And so that's why it's like, people will chalk love up to just this chemical reaction in your brain. And it's like, sure, that's part of it, but it's more than a feeling, because it's a perspective. And perspective is, it's a pattern, it's a shape, it's like sacred geometry almost. a memory, a pattern, an experience. It's almost like instead of a feeling, instead of just like a little sensation, it's like this sacred geometry of just truth that is, a part of you. It's not this fleeting essence of just pixie dust that comes in and out of your head here and there because your biology works that way. It really is greater than that. And so that's why I think it's very important to stay focused on, for me, I think, and for a lot of people, to really start focusing on what what do I truly want in life? And to not think about things, to think like I want a family. And so I want to start my own family and get it, bring people together. That's another thing. I really want to bring people together. That's a huge thing that I want to do in life. And it seems so difficult at times when you're young and you just have these ambitions to be successful and make money. How am I going to bring people together when I don't have time? Like, I don't have time for myself even, I work so much. I study so much. I work so much and study so much. I don't even have time to treat myself here and there. And so it's hard to start thinking about how to incorporate other people. And what I figured out is I just need to start doing it. So something I've done is like, I look forward to it so much is I'll go to the pickleball courts and I just meet new people there every day. And I'll stay for I've been staying for 3-4 hours, and it's not about the pickleball. Sure, the pickleball's fun and I'm getting pretty decent at it because I'm going for 3 hours a day, but it's about the connection that really sinks in and makes life feel much more meaningful, is that we're bringing people together. It's like this group of people that go, and I really enjoy being around them. And it's like, there's something special about that to me. And so it's just that experience alone it's helped me further realize that it really is about the connections. I don't remember doing the homework and getting the A's and, the paycheck here and there or whatever. I mean, I don't even have a paycheck I can remember. Like, maybe if I got $100,000 in a paycheck, I'd remember it, but still, it wouldn't be like this monumental memory. It would just be $100 in the bank. That's it. It's a number that, it's like just doing math. You don't remember it. It's not meaningful. More or less numbers, the things that matter are just so unique and inherent to life itself. They invoke the universe simply by their presence. Like a number, it's just so black and white and boring, but a memory invokes the universe. You think of a person, a place, or a thing, and that memory couldn't exist without the unity of everything else in the universe and the perfection of it all coming together. And it's just, there's so much compacted in a memory. It's like in an experience. And so that's something I've been trying to really focus on. And to also just be able to help to share this with other people, is to share what I've been realizing with other people, because it's not always obvious, but if I can somehow exude this perspective and let people feel what I feel when whether you're younger or older, it doesn't matter, and feel what I feel in terms of just when we bring people together, it's where magic happens, then that's enough for me, to just help other people realize this. And another thing goes back to, so there's a lot of people who aren't willing to work hard and just take the easy way out. And I think it's important to make every aspect of your life hard if you can, and to work towards that. If you can work towards making work difficult, push your boundaries in every aspect of life. Like at work, push your boundaries, make yourself think and work hard, and push your limits of what you're capable of doing, and you'll learn and grow as a result. In the gym, exercise, push yourself on days when you don't want to go. Just do it. Go every day. Work out every day. I'm telling you. In every aspect of life, you can find something to make it more difficult. And it's not just unnecessary difficulty, but it's a learning and growing experience, and that's why it's difficult. It's not just don't just find hard things to do for the sake of doing them, although there is some merit to that, because if you can do hard things, then it makes doing other hard things easier just in general. It grows that part of your brain where if you do challenging things, there's an area within the brain that grows that makes you more capable of overcoming things that you don't want to do and doing hard things. So you get better at it. It's actually a skill that you can develop, and you can grow this area of your brain to make you get better at it. And so it's like a muscle. You exercise this muscle, then it will grow and it will help you. So there is some merit to doing that, but also find hard things just in general. Because then there's some people I'll see, and it sucks because they'll put so much into their schoolwork or their studies, and I'm sure it's really hard, but then they're so just physically and mentally out of shape and lonely in all these other ways, and it's just sad to see, because it's like they're pushing hard, but they're not getting the reward that they should be getting because it's only in this one isolated area. In life, it needs to have a little bit more variety, So it's important to really sharpen your skill set in as many areas as you possibly can. And don't let one slack. And if one does start slacking, bring it back into the loop. Give it some attention, give it some focus, give it some time, and you'll get better at it. You'll feel better. You'll know these are things that'll make you feel better. And what I struggle with is, I feel like a pretty well-rounded person lately, but what I struggle with is finding what I want to do in life, finding success in something, but also success in something that I enjoy doing, and being able to find peace, find just inner peace, and stop the turmoil, and just be able to relax and enjoy myself and not have to obsess over the next thing. And so it's almost like it's like a loop almost I can get stuck in, where it's like, I want to find this way, the next way to become successful in my life. And so I get stuck focusing on that, but it's like an obsession. I don't know. And that obsession can really start messing with your mental health when you feel like you're working so hard, but also not acknowledging all that you already have and all that you already have accomplished. And so, there's also that. There's the hyper-focused, so there are people that slack, and then there's the people who are hyper-focused and hyper-obsessive about doing better. And that also is equally as bad, or not equally as bad, but it can be deteriorating. Because if you obsess over just needing to do better and better and better, you'll never have time for, again, the variety in your life, and you'll end up feeling miserable because you're not acknowledging and being grateful for all the things that you already have, whether that be the people in your life that you're not feeling the love for, or, just your financial situation, your good health. These are things that are so easy to take for granted. And then when you lose them, you realize, everything else falls apart. When you lose your health, people who get really sick, if you ask them if there's one thing that they want, it's nothing. Everything else falls apart, and the one thing they want is to just get better. And so it really shows, and they're no longer crowded with this flurry of just all these random desires that are pulling them left and right and making them miserable. They just want one thing, and that one thing is to get better. And it's a different way of looking at things, and it really shows what's important. When you have all these little menial, unimportant desires that are controlling your attention span and controlling your thoughts, your mind, that's where a lot of unnecessary suffering comes from. Especially like if you have all these desires, I think what people need to do is pick something that they want and let all the other small desires fall apart. Just focus on the one thing you want and get that done. And also stay well-rounded, whether it's like to just be a better, sharper person, to advance your business, to advance your knowledge, to read more books. Start with one thing. And the little things, though, are things you need to let go of, where it's like the desire to, feel a little bit more energized, or, I wish all these small little wishes, like I wish I didn't have to brush my teeth today or shower. Just being lazy, these types of things that start to harp on you. I don't want to cook today. See, like that's a small desire, but it can really impact your mood. And if you can let go of all these small things and focus on the one thing that you want, you can find much more peace in that, I noticed, for myself at least. And so that's something I've also been working on, is to let go of all the little things that don't matter and to just appreciate what I have, and stop wanting too much, and just enjoy the experience for what it is. Because I was telling myself the other day, and I just was thinking about it. I was having a bad day. It was a little rough, and I was just thinking, like, it was a rough couple of days. It was a rough week. And so I was just thinking, man, if I can't be happy when I'm young and strong and healthy, imagine how hard it's going to be to be happy when I'm old and weak and gray. And so that really hit me hard. And I just was thinking, like, I gotta make some changes, because if I'm having a couple days in a row with just allowing myself to swing into some darker moods over just almost nothing, then that's, how am I going to hold up in the future when I'm not as strong? I might be wiser, but there's going to be a lot more to deal with that I'm going to wish that I had, that I don't even think about now. So that was really something to think about. And it offered me a good perspective on things, on that I need to appreciate my youth, because I'm not always going to have it. Sometimes I wish, this semester was over because it's difficult. But I know when I'm older and looking back at this, I'm going to be thinking, like, man, when I was 22, like, if only I could go back to when I was 22 and see what it was like. I was so, to be young and strong and just, I would never wish those days away. And to wish them away while you're in it is just so silly. It's so absurd. It's something that I need to become more aware of when I'm doing it. Stop wishing the time away and start enjoying it, because it goes quick. That's something everybody knows. When you get older, it goes quick. It really does. I'll tell you, my years from 14 to 18, high school years, they went by slow, man. They went by decently slow. And then 18 to 22, the extra 4 years, those went by like very quick. Very, very quick. It felt like literally a ratio of 1 to 4 years. It felt like the first 14 to 18 was, 4 years, and then 18 to 22 was like 1 year. It just went so quick. And it only gets worse from what people say. So yeah, and the months and weeks and days start going by a lot quicker, because you notice the years start going by quicker. The next thing you know, it's the seasons change. The seasons change so quickly. It's gonna be winter now, but I remember it was just starting winter. I don't even know. I was gonna say it's just starting winter a year ago, but of course. But it's crazy to think how fast what I was doing 1 year ago felt like it didn't feel like it was a year ago. The years can start to blend together when there starts to becoming a little bit too much pattern and routine to them. So like when you start doing the same things and having too much of a strict routine, the years will really enmesh themselves, and 2 years will start feeling like 1 year, because you'll think back and be like, wait, was that 1 year ago or 2 years ago? Because regardless, I was doing the same thing, You'd be like, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 1 year ago, I was all doing the same thing. So it kind of just feels the same, like the same year. It just feels like one big giant year. And so that's another thing I want to try to have a little bit more variety in my life. That's one of the great things about life is there's so much variety to it. Why would I box myself in? There's no point to that. Absolutely no point. And so a great way to add a little variety to the mix is to meet new people and to do things you're uncomfortable with. Back to the uncomfortable things. When you do things you're uncomfortable doing, you'll end up finding more about yourself that you never knew, and also opening doors that you didn't know existed because you thought you might have disliked something and then you ended up trying it. You met people, you learned a little bit about yourself, and then next thing you know, it just changes the trajectory of your life in a completely different way that you had no idea. That you never would have expected, because now you might have met a new best friend. You might have got a new job. You might have found just a great new passion or a new hobby. All these things. And when you find a new hobby, it's not just like, oh, well, now I like to do paper mache or whatever your hobby is. It's not like that. It's like this whole world opens of things to do and to learn and to get better at, and people to meet, especially. It's not just like you have this one little thing and now, you get to do it. It's like, no, you opened this entire new door to a different realm, different little mini universe of people and things and places. And, now you get to step through that door and just play in that playground, That's really what it's like, finding new hobbies. But when all the doors are closed, of course you're going to think, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to enjoy it, because it just looks like a big hallway with just closed, empty doors. You haven't opened any, so you don't know what's behind them. All you see is the closed door with a sign on it that says like just the name of what the hobby is. Like, it's this hallway of doors that are just labeled, whether it's, music or singing or pickleball or, whatever hobby it is that you're into, reading. You just see these labels, and so you're like, I don't want to do that, I won't like it. Won't want to do that, won't like it. And a lot of it is based off impressions you have. The impressions you have from maybe school. You think you don't enjoy reading or writing because school makes it boring. That's true. Or maybe somebody made fun of, or people didn't appreciate your music making skills, so you gave up on it. These could be based on prior experiences, why you don't want to do these things, and because people may not have appreciated you in the past, and so it makes you reluctant to open new doors as well, because you'll think, oh, I'll just go through that door and there's going to be nothing for me. But I assure you, when you open the door, there's a whole world behind it, and you can dig right in, and it's great. It really is great. And that's one thing, is that I was saying people, you may have been, so yeah, I was thinking like school. That's one thing I learned, is that, school taught me that reading and writing was super boring, and I thought I hated it. I thought I couldn't do it. There was a time in school where I was almost held back or something, because I just didn't choose to read. It was so boring to me. My brain was like, reject. It was like, no, we're not doing this. Like, my brain would just turn off. I just was like, I'm not doing this shit. It's boring. I hate it. And it's hard. Like, my brain would just not allow me to focus on it. And so when I got a little older, I got better at dealing with that. But the thing is, I learned after high school, and after I even dropped out of college, there was a time where I dropped out of college for like a couple years, took a break, wasn't sure if I wanted to go back. And then something I really learned was I started getting up really early in the morning. I started just really cleaning up my habits and stuff, my routine, cleaning it up, making it more respectable in what I thought was respectable, so that I could respect myself more, and then also feel more respect from my parents and friends, and not feel like I was just some lazy teenager that's slipping, just keep slipping down the slope of failure. I wanted to sort of get my shit together. And when I did this, I was getting up really early and I started writing in a journal. And what this did was it taught me that I started writing poems. I was like, I'm going to write a poem. And funny enough, I remember the first one I wrote, it was about nighttime. And at this time I was struggling with like sleeping a lot. And it was a poem about how I hated the night, but it was deep. And there was a lot of truth to it to me. And so I really enjoyed writing it. I ended up continuing writing and started writing during the day, during the evenings. And I ended up getting better. I filled up notebooks. I ended up filling up notebooks with poems and advice to myself. And I've learned that I really, really enjoy writing, actually. When it's about what I want to write about and when it's my thoughts, I actually very, very much enjoy it. But when it's about this other topic that some teacher wants me to write about, and I have to tick all these check boxes off of, thesis, 3 main body paragraphs, 3 sources. You got to go find the sources and cite them properly in APA citation or whatever, and all that stuff, MMA format or MLA, I don't even remember. But so when that happens, it puts you in a box and you're unable to think or write freely because you have all these constraints on the way you're allowed to think. And when you can't think openly and freely, writing is difficult and boring because it takes a lot of concerted effort to just drive your thought down this tunnel that you don't even want to send your thought into. It's boring and then try to come up with something prolific. It's very rough. And I'm not surprised most people don't like it. Creative writing should be the standard in schools because I think formal writing it doesn't teach people all that much, And it's good to learn some formal writing, but it's just, I think creative writing can be a lot better. It teaches people how to think. Creative writing and also logical reasoning. These 2 things combined are very powerful tools. But not only did I start writing, I started reading it around this time. And when I started reading, it was also a very enjoyable experience. I thought that I hated reading, and I ended up finding a couple books that I really liked. And I knew I liked reading in the past. It just was hard to find good books and hard to make myself do it. But, excuse me, it was hard to find good books, but when I did get back into it, I really found that I enjoyed it a lot. And again, it was one of those things where when I'm in school and I have to read something that I don't enjoy reading, I don't pay attention. It's hard for me to read. I have to focus so hard to try to get these thoughts in my head and to retain them. It takes me about 5 times as long to read. Whereas if I'm reading something on the internet or in a book that I really enjoy, it could be anywhere. I could be reading something. If I enjoy it, I read it once and it's just in my brain and I understand it. I get it. And I absorb the information. If it's something I find truly boring and don't enjoy, I'll read it and I'll just be like, I'll stop at the period and be like, okay, I didn't read that. I just looked at the words. I need to read it again. And I'll read it again and again and again. And it's like so, I'm just so not paying attention. I have to shake my head and be like, all right, focus and read the sentence so deliberately. And then finally it's like, okay, now I get it. But reading and writing, they're really, really good tools to have. If you can learn to enjoy them, they can teach you how to think. And when you learn how to think, it's easy to start really respecting how you think. And and if you write your thoughts down and read them back also, you'll be able to see, are these good thoughts or are these just bad crummy thoughts? And if you write something that is, because there were times where I would just vent. I'd just be writing and I'd be venting and I would read it back and I'd be like, okay, that's garbage. I really hope I don't express this to people. I hope I don't say this because I'm reading it back and I'm cringing. That's just me complaining about nonsense. And so I hope I'm not rubbing that off in the way in my vibes to other people. And so it teaches me that yeah, if you write and read and reread your writing, you start learning about how the way that you think, and you can change the way you think if you don't like what you're reading, you know? And so it's a really powerful tool of self-analysis, and it can start sharpening the way that you think in that way. And so there's reading, there's exercise also. Now, exercise is something I've been very good with since I was younger, and that's something I'm very grateful for, because I know a number of people who struggle with being as active as they want to be. And there's even more than I know. There's a lot of people who wish they could be more active than they are, and wish they could have more discipline to actually hit the gym on a consistent basis and to eat healthy. And I get it, because obviously I'm human. I've been there before. Good food is addictive, man. Which is why I don't go there too often, and I just keep a nice stale palate most of the time. I eat just kind of healthier, because I notice if I start eating, pizzas and stuff, it's addictive. You just want more. You don't want to put it down, especially sweets like ice cream. Since I don't eat ice cream really, when I do eat it, it's literally like drugs. I'll eat it and it'll be so sweet and addictive. It's like cocaine. I just can't. I just want more. It's so good, and so I totally get it. But I'm also very thankful that I've been able to stick to a strict exercise routine for the past few years. Even in rough times, I've been through some rough times, and even in those times, I still somehow managed to get exercise in. And I think that's a huge. I think that's it really helped me, and things could have been a lot worse if I didn't exercise at certain points in my life, at certain low points. But I'm telling you, if you can hit the gym, no, not even if you can. And if you do it, you will feel better. There are many days where I've just forced myself to do it every day, and I have the momentum built up. But there are days where I'm just thinking, I really don't want to work out today. I have so much to do. I got to study for this exam. I got to do this homework. And it's non-negotiable though. I don't say, I'll just take the day off. No. To me, it's not negotiable. It's I'll get these thoughts, but it's nope. We're still going. I don't care. And maybe I'll be in a bad mood because of that. Or maybe I'll be more likely to be in a bad mood because of that. But end up going and doing the workout, sweating. That's something important to me in a workout, is to get your heart rate elevated. Huge part of the workout. Don't just lift weights. Lifting weights is great, but elevate your heart rate. Get the sweat flowing. Make yourself breathe. Make yourself feel alive. Put some elbow grease into your workouts. Make yourself feel alive, and it's going to be painful. But that's where I'm telling you, every time I do it, I feel so good afterwards. It's like a breath of fresh air. It's like waking up on a new day. It's like it cleans the slate. It's like I could be having a horrible day. I could be having a day filled with so much just self-misery and self-loathing and then I go exercise and it just cleans that slate. It wipes it off, and it starts me fresh. And so it's I really get to wake up twice in the day. I get to wake up when I wake up in the morning. And usually I'm a morning person. I like mornings. I'm a morning and an evening. I don't like the afternoons usually. But then usually in the mid to late afternoon, I'll end up working out. And it's I get to wake up again. It's fresh, it's freshness. And sometimes I'll be real tired after, but it's it does something to you to physically overcome challenge. It's different. I could spend all day doing homework and get an A on a test, finish all my homework, spend 8+ hours, just say, doing homework and studying. And at the end of it, I could accomplish a lot through a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work, but I'm not going to feel fulfilled. Even though I worked so hard, it's like I still don't feel like I accomplished anything. And what I really want to do is go outside and do something. It's not like I finished all this work and now I want to sit on the couch and do nothing. That's the last thing I want to do, because what I want to do when I finish all that work is go outside and move my body and do something to actually make me feel alive, to overcome some sort of physical adversity. And that's what working out can provide for me. And it's amazing. I'm telling you, it's so I'll go work out and it provides me it's just a different level of satisfaction. So I'll go work out, and even though it's 20 minutes, it could be 20, 30 minutes, which is much less time than the 6 hours or 8 hours I put into studying, and I'm getting, in a sense, a lot less work done because I'm only doing a 30-minute workout. By the end of it, though, I'm feeling so much more fulfilled and ready for the day to unwind and just accomplished and happy, or not even happy, just at peace, because I can still have a lot on my plate, but I can find peace, and I can, I don't want to necessarily just doom scroll social media to forget about all these other things that I want in life. I just go work out, it clears my mind, and I can come home and do what I want. I can either read a book or do more homework or just chill. And no matter what I do, it's like I overcame mental adversity, I overcame physical adversity. I'm feeling accomplished. But if I just do one or the other, usually it still feels like something's missing. So if I just work out and don't do anything else mentally stimulating, again, the day won't feel as good. If I do both, that's where it's like this, they have a synergistic effect. It's like you need to challenge yourself mentally and physically every day. Not just one or the other, but both. And they work so well together when you do this that it's, both are half the battle. It's like you are a mind and a body. You are not just one or the other. You have to work both if you want to strengthen both and make each of them get stronger and better. And so that's why I find it very important to do mentally stimulating stuff during the day, in the mornings and afternoons, and then in the evenings, wind down with something physical. And pickleball is a huge part of that also. You can do sports. You can just do, it could be, you could start out also just being active and getting outside is a start. Some people don't even do that, but just doing something outside. But again, I really, really emphasize the point of getting your heart rate elevated, because, going for a brisk walk, it's good for you, yeah, but it's nothing compared to getting the sweat flowing and the heart racing. I'm telling you, that's where the progress happens, is in the red zone, when you're pushing the red line into unknown territory and crossing your boundaries, that's where the growth and development truly actually happens. And so these things are very, it's just, these things are very important to me. And I wonder if, sometimes I wonder if other people, because everybody, I don't know. I wonder if people, so if there was no social media, I wonder if people would actually feel the things that, it's so easy to go on social media and to doom scroll and to just tune out all of this stuff. But when you start tuning into it and putting down the social media and tuning into these things in life that actually matter, you start figuring out what you're actually missing. And when you're seeing what you're missing, it just starts becoming apparent. And so this is something I've noticed is also when I stop using social media as much, it could be as simple as just when I'm walking to class to just not put music on, to just actually sit there with my thoughts and walk to class, nothing in my ears, and just think. I noticed that my thoughts will become much more clear, and I'll be able to actually I'll have great ideas, actually, I'll start getting very, very great ideas, and I'll be thinking, like, it's crazy. It'll be like a fresh of breath air. It's like, how was I so oblivious to the fact that when I was using social media, it was dampening my thoughts so much to the point where I didn't even know I could have good ideas anymore. And I just was tuning them out with this external stream of information into my brain to the point where I just forgot that, I became a background player. I became an NPC that was not an active player in my life. I was just subsisting off of external thoughts that weren't even mine, And then you put this stuff down and you start thinking yourself, and your brain starts working. It starts kicking into third gear to fourth gear, and you start realizing, wow, like, my brain is actually a lot more capable than I was crediting it to be. And I just wasn't listening to it. And so I actually can compare the experience of putting social media down similar, and I still use social media, of course I do, but I'm just saying when I put it down and have these little brief periods of silence, this is what I noticed, is that it's similar to nicotine in some way, where that when I'm using it, you think it feels so great, but it actually just dampens reality. And when you quit it, you realize, oh my goodness, I feel so clear-headed now. I have more motivation. I have more thoughts, more energy. I feel more energized and alive. And it just feels like less murky, less dirty, Something about both of those things can give you a sort of murky, cloudy feeling in your head where you're not there. You're not crystal clear. You're not sharp, And so that's where another big issue I think comes from, is too much screen time, and that's something I would like to work on myself. But, I don't credit it too much because I'm not a huge screen user. The one thing that bothers me is I'm a computer science major. So like, I'm on a screen a lot, studying a lot, coding a lot, programming, and doing all this stuff. And I sometimes think that I just wish I had a farm and I could just go on that farm and wake up at crack of dawn, wake up at the crack of dawn, work hard, tends to the farm, have a family, have pets, animals, crops. At the end of the day, take your boots off and you're ready to just relax, and you did a lot of hard work. And I feel like there would be something really enjoyable about that. And compared to driving through bumper to bumper traffic to get to your job, and then just sitting at a computer programming these little programs all day, and then, I'm sure there's probably cool people you meet, because I still don't have, I'm still in school right now, and I like meeting people, but right now school is so busy, I almost don't have time to meet as many people as I wish I could, in my classes at least. And so again, that's why I dedicate the pickleball court to meeting people and this sort of social hours, very important to me. But yeah, it's like when I'm on a computer all day programming, thinking of all this logic and math and stuff, it's much, much, much less fulfilling to me than if I had a job on a farm. But on the flip side of things, if I had a farm and just was doing this manual labor all day long, I think I would hit a point where I would want something intellectually stimulating in my life to think about, because my brain likes to think. I wouldn't have become a computer science major if I didn't like to think about math. It's just when you start drowning in it, when you're drowning in these thoughts of math and logic and stuff, and you're just doing it so much, it's overwhelming, and you want the opposite. You want to just go move. I'm done with the brains. I want the bronze. And then if you go do the opposite and work physical labor so much to the point where you're just dead tired, it's like enough with this. I want to just go use my brain, And so that's why it's a very delicate balance that I believe is very important to find between mental and physical stimulation, because again, we're not just mind or body, we are both. And so we need to find this point of harmony between them, and we need to connect to these two parts of us so that they are working together, not against each other. And so when the mind isn't thinking too much about one thing or the other, it can actually start thinking about things other than the self and learn. So, if you're thinking too much about logic and math and reasoning in school, you start thinking about what you want to do and that this isn't what you want to do. And you start thinking about self too much and it starts making you feel bad. Likewise, if you're working in a farm for too long, or not a farm, but just physical manual labor, blue collar work, again, you start thinking, I don't want to be doing this. I want something more. And so if you have that sweet balance of both, you stop thinking about what you want and stop thinking about the self as much and start thinking about all the other things in life that there are to think about. And it's, endless ideas out there. Endless ideas, especially those of, and something I really find interesting is to dig into philosophy and religion as well. Those are two things that I really enjoy digging into because there's a lot of truth behind them. There's a lot, I don't know. There's a lot to life that I think that people are missing out on because people just don't know how to live these days. And, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody because I don't even know how to live these days. Like, it's confusing. You grow up in this world in a city and just civilization, streets, cars, buildings everywhere. All of it just it's this giant machine that's going round and round. And you don't know how any of it's built or how any of it works, but you're just born and it's there and it just always has been there. And compared to people 200 years ago, there was none of this. There was just, and up into that point throughout the history of time, humans were born and the only thing they could see was, people and trees and the sky and houses and, wooden, like maybe wooden structures at most, but like just nature, And so it's hard to get out there in nature these days. And so it can be really confusing on how you should live because it's such a fast-paced technological world now that if you want to make your way in it, it's hard because you got to put a lot of time into it. And then you realize like it doesn't care about you. You're just, again, a cog in a machine ripping away at, whatever your competition is, the billions of other people that are trying to get ahead and make money. And it's so different than what humans have ever done in the entire history of the world. So for any other time period, it really is something that we're all learning how to do together, Nobody's truly figured out. Maybe actually there's some people, but we're all learning together. We're all in it together. You're not alone out there. When you look out and just see the world and are like, what am I supposed to do? And you just wish that the world was different. Sometimes things were different. You're not the only one. I'm pretty sure we all think that sometimes. We all probably think that, like, imagine if things were just simpler and there was if the world wasn't so complicated, it'd be far easier to enjoy. If there was more family and more love and more community and more camaraderie, it would be a much happier place to be at times. But, that's not to say you still can't find those things in life because they're out there. It doesn't go anywhere, It's not like it, got on a spaceship and it's not like love and connection got on a spaceship and flew to Mars because, it's everywhere. You just have to find it. You have to access it and you have to be the change. If you want to find change, you have to be the change yourself. And by being the change, you'll end up bringing people together. And it's quite an experience because just by being yourself, you'll realize that somehow you're drawing people in and you didn't even realize that you could draw people in. But when you're not worried, the less you care about the stupid things in life don't matter, the more people actually want to be around you, which the more it's quite paradoxical. The less you try to be a certain way and the less you try to actually be liked by others, the more they actually like you. And the more that you worry about how you look and the more that you want people to like you on the outside, the less they will like you, because when you try so hard to be a certain way, there's just this lack of authenticity to who you are. And when you lack this authenticity, it's people don't see who you actually are, and they see you as this closed off person who's mysterious but also quiet and elusive in some way. And then when, you know, people don't really, put their trust in you as much, they don't tell you things that they would tell other people who are open. And so it's like this barrier, you don't get this deep connection. Whereas if you're just you're humbly, like, have humility and are just yourself and express that, and no lying, no worrying about what people think. Just tell them the truth and show them who you are. Be transparent. It really bleeds through, and people will come up to you and ask you things and talk to you, and they'll share things with you you would have thought that this person would share with you. You'd be like, why is this person sharing this with me? Like, why do they trust me so much? What did I do? I'm just this random dude. How do they know that I'm worthy of this private information? But it's because when you're transparent and humble, again, it really bleeds through, and people can see that, they can sense it, and it's contagious, everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has everyone has some deep part of them that's within, and if you're expressing it and you're transparent and you're able to find connection and just be yourself despite it, it can start drawing other people out of their shells and showing them that, they're not alone, and that, it actually is better to be open. It's like, and it's not even an active thing that happens, like that they actively are thinking or trying to do. It just is the way things work. It's like the law of the universe, the law of nature, and it's when you start actively trying to be a certain way, that's when you start going against the law of nature. You just got to let yourself be as you are. That's one big thing about, like, with addicts, they're always trying to feel some way. And so that's a big lesson you can learn when you quit drugs, is to, like, learn just how to be as you are, as the universe created you, as God made you. Just be as you are, unadulterated, and just let go, find peace, and accept that you can't control everything, and just relax, be yourself. And stop seeking this, stop trying to be or feel a certain way. And so when you do that, you realize, even if you're an addict, that's not the end of the addictive cycle, because then you realize you'll end up doing this thought pattern with everything. You'll start realizing why you were getting addicted to drugs in the first place. And for some people, it's like, well, I wanted people to like me and to see me a certain way. And so when you quit, it's not like this is automatically better. And you find that you still are acting that way, and in which you're still acting in a way that which you are trying to get people to actively like you, which is not working, because that's not how you get people to like you. And so the addiction is gone. The physical manifestation of the addiction is gone, but the mental cause of it is still there. And so you're not actually changed. You're just not using drugs. And this is something it took me a long time to understand. When I would hear people who say, I'm an alcoholic, but I haven't drank in 20 years. It's like, you're still an addict. It's like, and they'll even say, like, it took me a long time to realize that even though I wasn't using for 5 years, I still was living like an addict. And so I'm starting to understand what people mean by that now, because it's trying to get something more from life, trying to force things to be in a certain way, and trying to just not letting things be, man. Not feeling the love, trying to be liked, trying to feel good, trying to be liked by others and trying to feel good and trying to be successful in the eyes of others, trying to have materialistic wealth. It's all rooted around wanting to have things and wanting to have control. A big part of it is rooted around wanting to have control of factors in your life. And when you let go of trying to have this overarching edge of control over your life, you find peace, and you also find you start gaining the things that you want in the first place. And so it's a very crazy paradoxical thing. Is like the harder you try to get these things, the farther apart you're going to drift from them. Whereas when you just let go of the control and let life be, things start drifting ashore that you never would have thought would, whether it's people, things, money, wealth, and you don't care about it as much because you just start appreciating things for what they are, regardless of what you have, And when people do drift in your life, you appreciate it that much more because it's like, you weren't expecting it and you weren't trying to get it. And so when it happens, it's like, it's just icing on the cake. And, but what really matters to you is being at peace, finding and accepting the way things are, and finding love in your life, just being able to love life itself and to have loving connection with others and to understand your place in the universe and to just really become alive, to wake up, to wake up and see things for the way they are and just appreciate the intricate complexities of the universe and appreciate how deep it all is and how beautiful it all is. And stop wishing it to be a different type of way than it is. Stop wishing that it was different, So, yeah, there's like this quote that's like, the hardest man to wake up is, it's the hardest to wake up a man who's pretending to be asleep. And so it's, that kind of resonates for this sort of scenario. I forgot who said that quote. I think I botched it anyway, but yeah, it's like when you let go of that edge of control, life starts getting good. And you realize that life was always good, actually. You just never treated it as such. But there was so much good to be had. You just were seeing all the bad that was in it. And you were seeing everything as bad. And that's why I think Buddhism actually is very interesting when you start looking into the essence of, is there even good or bad? And that's a very interesting way of looking at things because it makes a lot of sense, but it also can lead you to a nihilistic point of view if you start focusing too much on, well, this isn't good or bad, so what's the point? That's not the purpose of what Buddhism is trying to accomplish. It's not trying to make you cynical or nihilistic. It's trying to open your eyes to something far greater and more powerful than what you think, and to just wake something up within you. But then there's Christianity, which is, it sort of takes a different approach where it's like, there is good and bad, and we know what is good and we know what is bad, and it is our duty to we have the free will to choose to do good or bad. But if we want to live a life that's worth living, then we ought to choose to do the good, to do the right thing. So that's like the two different approaches that these religions take, but the philosophy behind them each is, they both make so much sense. And so religion plays a big part. Religious teachings play a big part in the way that I've been thinking about things lately as I get older. When I was younger, I used to really dismiss religious sort of works as just nonsense. I never looked into it. And I would be really critical of it, actually. It was embarrassing. Thinking back, I was very critical of my friends who believed in who were religious. And now as I get older, I find that people who don't look into religions are actually missing a lot more than they could have, because there's so much there in the teachings of any religion. It doesn't even matter. I don't care what it is. If you look into a religion, you are going to come out with more instead of less, you know? And so the people who just knock it and are like, have this very shallow opinion of of religions, I feel bad for, because I've been there. And if they change their mind, then they'll see how wrong they were, and they will feel embarrassed, because when you are so, well, it depends how, they'll be embarrassed if they were being an ass about it, at least. If you were an ass about it and then changed your mind and were like, oh my gosh, religion actually like it, you'll feel embarrassed for how you used to treat others who did believe in religious teachings and practiced and whatever and read religious works. But that's aside from the point anyway. Because there's still some people out there who aren't religious but still have a deep understanding of the teachings behind religion, say philosophy, like philosophers. And I'm sure if any good philosopher has probably read religious works, because how could you possibly be a good philosopher if you've never read some of the most philosophical ancient texts of humankind, which are arguably all of the religious texts from any religion? I'm not even gonna name one specifically, but all of them. They're very philosophical. So even then, if you are a philosopher and you claim not to be religious, you're probably far more religious than you even realize or are admitting to be, because you either have looked into religions, and just simply by doing that, you are being more religious than somebody who just knocks it without looking at it. Or B, you're reading the great works of philosophers in the past who have very, very, very deep truths to their ideologies and concepts that they talk about. And so there's a lot of analogies between philosophy and religion. So I don't even know how I got onto this branch of topic, but to stray it back, I think I was saying that religion and philosophy is very, very interesting and can help soothe my mind. It's like philosophy is, it's almost like I read it in Marcus Aurelius. He wrote some quote that's like, philosophy or stoicism is the white egg whites for my eye, where it's like, back then it was like they would use egg whites. I forgot exactly. They would use egg whites to rub on. If your eye was irritated, you'd like rub egg whites in your eye or something, and it would have anti-inflammatory properties, and it would soothe your discomfort. And so the idea was that philosophy was like that for him, but for his mind, because it soothes the discomfort and open wounds that you have in your mind. It's soothing. It's almost like it's almost like putting lotion on dry skin. Philosophy, for the mind. That's kind of what the analogy he was getting at. And so I really like that analogy. It resonates with me a lot, because sometimes I could be also, this is another thing, I could be doing all the right things and I'll still just be feeling, could still end up in a bad mood. And if I just start reading something very philosophical, again, it can wake something up in you. And it can really help, at least me, it can help me realize that, wow, sometimes it'll be like, wow, I was starting to lose it there. I was starting to just slip into this unconscious pattern of thinking that was causing me so much more harm than it had to. And I was choosing to be unhappy. I wasn't just being unhappy because of anything in particular, other than the fact that I was choosing to be unhappy. And so I wasn't allowing myself to be happy. And that's another thing, is it's hard to sometimes I'll be in a position where I want something and I don't have it. And it could be some grandiose thing where it's like, I want success and I want success in this, you know, and it's really hard to find it. I want more money and, but you know, I don't have as much money as I wish. I want a good salary. I want to be able to make a lot of money in my life. And so when I start thinking this, it's easy to see like when the part of your brain that regulates what you want and what you have is when there's a disconnect there, it's like you feel, you know, there's pain and suffering involved. And so what I was thinking was, or what I realized was the, what was I thinking? It'll come back. So when there's like, when I realized that the discomfort I'm getting from realizing that I'm wanting something that I don't have, all I'm realizing is that I'm just allowing myself to not be happy right now because there's nothing that's actually happening to me that's making me unhappy other than the fact that I'm not allowing myself. And so desire is almost like a contract with yourself to be unhappy until you receive this item, until you receive what you want. And it's very, very dangerous contracts to start writing yourself into, you know, because you could start wanting things that are very unrealistic. And when you do that, you're never going to get them, or at least you're not going to get them in a timely manner. And then because of that, you're signing this agreement that says, I'm not going to allow myself to be happy until I achieve this unachievable, extremely long-term goal, which is far, far out from now, if it even happens ever. And so you're basically signing a contract to just be an unhappy person. And it's dangerous to start doing that. So it's good to have desires, but not to put all your eggs in one, in too big of a basket that you can't even carry. So make sure you can still carry the basket. Pick something reasonable, but aim high though. Aim high but also be reasonable. And then if you miss, readjust. You know, try to pick markers, reassess each month how close you're coming to progress and success. If you're not making any progress at all, you can readjust your parameters, readjust the target, and you can fix it. You can come to some sort of conclusion as how to start getting better at whatever it is you want to get better at. But you need to reassess, you need to aim high, shoot, assess the damage, and readjust. You know, it's like a simple logical process. So, yeah, it's like, I think it's important for me. These are things that are important for me and that I'm trying to work on. And I hope you enjoyed this ramble. I could go on a little longer, but there's a few things I want to get done today, particularly working out. I want to work out, and then I got a test coming up. Not to get too much into this, but I really enjoyed this ramble, and I hope you did also. I hope you gained something from it. And if you did, you can always like and subscribe, because I'm going to be I'm doing more of these podcasts, and I'm going to be doing weekly podcasts. I wasn't able to have guests on today, which is why I decided to do a solo podcast. And I figured there's a lot that I think about that I want to talk about. So why not just do a solo podcast? I think I could get it done. And I think this was a pretty solid first solo episode. And so look forward to seeing more podcasts weekly. There'll be guests on, and different guests and the same guests as last time. And if not, you'll see more solo podcasts. If you enjoy the solo ones, let me know, because then I can start doing more of them. I can start doing bi-weekly uploads, or even more. You know, I enjoy these. I enjoy doing this. So let me know your preferences, and I'd be glad to just sort of, you know, if people really like the solo podcasts, and sure, I'll do more of them. Why not? Because I enjoy it. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and you know, stay peaceful, stay happy, and stay hard working. All right. Till next time, guys. Peace.